I listen to different experts, and there's experts with different opinions about AI, where it is right
Mhm.
now, where it could go in the future. Everything from people optimistic about how great it's going to be to people that are doomsdayers. Is AI mankind's greatest opportunity or worst downfall?
Uh, I don't know if that's an easy one, but Terminator's going to get born, and Skynet's going to determine that the world will be better without humans.
AI is forcing us to face a broader question. If AI is able to absorb a lot of things that we would typically do as people, then what else can we become? Who am I when I'm not doing the things that I currently do? And what will my life look like if a lot of these things were taken away?
Our day-to-day lives oftentimes are consumed with family, they're consumed with working, right? And commuting to work and coming home and recreation and eating and resting. And it's very difficult to balance all of it. I don't know many people who have been able to truly balance it all. Maybe you don't have to choose so much, as maybe you can focus on another part of yourself you didn't even know about yourself. There's definitely other things I can do with my time outside of the things that I do for a living. Yeah, I know it's scary, right? A piece of me is gonna be gone, but there's another piece of you that's gonna be born as well, and then that helps you become a more complete person.
If we lean too heavily on AI for information or to do things that our brains are accustomed to doing, what impact do you think that could have on brain development?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey Sean, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. How you doing, Jonathan?
Doing very well, man. I'm excited for this conversation, man. And hot topic right now is AI. And my primary focus about AI is going to be how it's going to impact the world of work, because I think there's a lot of concern out there from people about how it's going to impact their jobs, whether it's integrating it into their job or is it going to eliminate my job potentially? Am I going to have to do something different? How do I
Yes,
skill
sir.
for whatever changes I might have to make? How do I prepare? And how's it going to affect me and my family, right? So a lot of thoughts going on out there about that. So I want to get into it today. But before we go into that element of it, I do want to start kind of high level with just kind of all the conversation and chatter that's going on revolving AI in the world right now and have a more general conversation about it. So I listen to different experts, and there's experts with different opinions about AI, where it is right
Mhm.
now, where it could go in the future, how fast it could get there, and all these different things. And there's everything from people optimistic about how great it's going to be to people that are doomsdayers and thinking it's going to have a negative impact on the way we live, references to the Matrix and the Terminator movies and all different types of stuff that's out
Of
there, right?
course.
So
Of course.
it's all over the spectrum. So I want to really have a more level-headed conversation about what it is, what it isn't, what's possible, how should we prepare to live with it to be more effective both personally and professionally. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right,
Sounds
good
good to me.
deal. So I'm gonna start with a really easy softball question. Is AI mankind's greatest opportunity or worst downfall?
Uh, I don't know if that's an easy one. But I'm a glass half full type person, right?
Okay.
So I'll say it's definitely a huge opportunity. I wouldn't say it's the greatest downfall. If you look at history past 150, 200 years, the human race has been around for thousands of years. For a long, long time, what the average life expectancy was like 30, 35. And
Yeah.
now we have, really in the past 200 years, things have gotten much better. So where we were 150 years ago, without AI at all, or even technology, to where it is today, to where we are now, definitely a better place society-wise. Do I think we're going to take a 180 switch in the opposite direction due to AI? I don't think so. Right? I don't think the Terminator is going to get born and Skynet's going to determine that the world would be better without humans, right? I think that's science fiction for a reason. Those movies came out like 50 years ago at this point, so there's still things like that happening. But I'm definitely more on the optimistic side. I think it's going to help us improve our lives for everyone across the planet. But we need to determine as a people, right? What does that mean? That's the real thing, right? Is it just going to make things more efficient? Are we automating processes? Are we working together with it? That's the real unknown that I don't think anybody really has an answer for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking I like your glass half full approach for sure. I definitely prefer that to the doomsday stuff that's out there. Even though we probably should apply a certain level of caution, like with anything, just to make sure that we're being smart and
Right.
being thoughtful about how we approach the use of it and development of it and that kind of thing,
Right.
right? So we'll
Right.
get more into that later. But I
Yeah.
was listening to a podcast the other day with an author and innovation consultant. His name's Alexander Manu. He's known for his strategic foresight, and he said that AI is forcing us to face a broader question, which I found that was really interesting. If AI is able to absorb a lot of things that we would typically do as people, then what else can we become? What else can I become? And
Hmm.
I thought about that and I was like, I think maybe that's probably at the heart of a lot of the discomfort with AI is figuring out, okay, if who am I when I'm not doing the things that I currently do? And what will my life look like if a lot of these things were taken away? What are your thoughts about that?
I kind of go back to history again. It's my my father recently retired from working for 40 years in the trucking industry, and one of his reasons for not retiring was the fear of unknown, right? What am I going to do every day? This has been my identity for the past 40 plus years, right? I went to
Yeah,
work, I did these things I provided for my family. What's the next chapter? But now that he's retired, he has kind of found a new way of life, right? A new meaning, right? That's different from what it is, right? If we didn't have enough food, all you're thinking about is, man, I need to get the next meal. How am I going
yeah,
to satisfy my hunger? Once you satisfy your hunger, a new problem comes, right? So, like, our day-to-day lives oftentimes are consumed with family, they're consumed with working, right? And
yeah,
commuting to work and coming home and recreation and eating and resting. And it's very difficult to balance all of it. I don't know many people who have been able to like truly balance it all, right? And if one of those things becomes easier, that opens up like the pie to do other things, right?
yeah,
It reminds me when I was in college, one of my professors, or many of them, will say, "Well, you're either going to sleep, or you're going to study more, right, or something else. Like you're either going to get more sleep, you're either going to party, or you're going to study more, right? Is you got to choose two or the three of them. You can't get right a bunch of sleep and study a little bit and do the recreation. Like you can't do all of that. So what are you going to do? Or are you going to party and this like so? Maybe you don't have to choose so much, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you can focus on another part of yourself you didn't even know about yourself. Like, because I remember working so hard when I was in undergrad and grad school, and all I could think about was, man, I need to finish my degree. I need to finish this degree, right? Hardest thing I've ever had to do. But by the time I was done, I didn't even know who I was anymore,
hmm,
right? Because I was so focused on just writing my thesis and finishing graduate school, right? I didn't. What do I like to do? Do I like video games anymore? I haven't played them in 10 years. I don't know. Do I like to run? Maybe fishing will be fun. I don't know. Do I want to play tennis again? I think I like watching it. I don't want to play it. But now there's this pickleball thing, which seems really cool. Like, and I don't think many of us even have time to figure that out because we have so much going on. It's like, what do I really like? I'm doing my responsibilities. I'm focused on my career. But I think if folks really took that time, or that time was given back to you, and AI's a way that could happen, right? There's pros and cons. Obviously, we'll talk more about that. Then maybe you can see the positive things that it can use to benefit you. So that's kind of how I see it, right? I don't have perfect balance. Is that if there's an avenue to get better balance, then I'm up to that, right? Um, so yeah, I hope that kind of throws my own spin to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that kind of leads into another question that I have is about having a meaningful life. And for what you're saying, I was going to ask you, do you think we can have meaningful lives if AI is essentially doing everything for us, which is some of these, projections about what it could be capable of almost have us, not having to do anything from a labor standpoint, whether it's
Yeah,
household duties and chores or earn a living, right? They talk about universal basic income, which we'll talk about later, and things like that.
sure, sure.
But maybe it opens up our ability to focus on things that are more fulfilling, and really change our definition of how we identify a meaningful life potentially. We spend a lot of time at work. So our
We
professional
do.
identities, we put a lot of stock in our professional identities. And so I think that's scary for a lot of people if they think that AI could potentially take a big chunk away from that identity, right?
Yeah.
Um, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. And I think like I can't remember the article right now, but there was a study that I saw and it shows how people's identities evolve over time, right? Like if you're in grade school or high school, your friends in school are everything, right? And your parents would tell you, well, you're not going to talk to half of these people when you're, in your 30s and you start your
Yeah,
own family, but that you don't feel that then. Then you go to college and, maybe you have some kids and that is your identity for a while and you work on your career until that shifts, until you retire and it shifts again, right? So whether we want the shift to happen, if you live long enough, it's going to happen one way or another, right? I don't think like many of us are built to be kind of in that same stagnant place for forever, right? In terms of meaningful identity, like I love what I do for a living. I love some of the free time that I get as well. But there's definitely other things I could do with my time outside of like the things that I do for a living. My mom's highly involved in her church, right, and giving back to community and gardening and other spiritual activities that brings her meaning, right? And those are definitely things that I think will bring meaning for me as well, right? Because whether some folks are able to work more or less, there's the other man who could still use some help, some compassion, some empathy, some advice, right? Where you're able to just spend more time doing it, right? So yeah, I know it's scary, right? Oh, my a piece of me is gonna be gone, but there's another piece of you that's gonna be born as well, and then that helps you become a more complete person. You're a parent, I'm a parent, right? There was
yeah,
you before you have kids, and there's the you when you have kids, and the you when you have kids is definitely not the same as a person as before you had kids.
that's a good
And
one.
part of what you were changed when you have kids. Some of that's better, some of that's tougher because it's just part of it. But I think most folks would say, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Right. It's a change that you accept. It's one that you kind of live with and you take and you make the best of it.
That's a good point. That's a really strong point. I
Yeah.
love the parenting example. And maybe that fear is causing us to maybe underestimate our ability to evolve and
Hmm.
change and how much we maybe don't know about ourselves, right?
Right.
But I did have another question though. Like if we lean too heavily on AI for information or to do things that our brains are accustomed to doing, what impact do you think that could have on like brain development and just how we value knowledge in general if we're kind of
Yeah.
using it as a crutch to tell us everything or even tell us what to do and what decisions to make?
Yeah, that's a good one. So it's how can I say this? I I've been working in AI for how long? About 20 years now. So there's a long history of AI, like there's the peaks and the troughs, right? There's the hype and the bust, and there's a term called AI winners, right? It's been happening for over 60, 70 years, right? So, um, you know, do I think AI is in a place or will be to a place where it can like fully replace what I do or think the way that I think and um, supplement me in a way where I think my own mental capacity won't be able to be leveraged? I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that close to being to where it is, right? You might you see what's out there. It might make you believe that. You'll see something surprising that the AI did that you weren't expecting. Granted, that's true, but one analogy I like to give folks is, well, there's a calculator. A calculator is able to add and divide and multiply and all these amazing things and generate these graphs. But when you take the SAT, they don't tell you that you can't use a calculator. Why is that? Because in order to do well on the SAT, the calculator is not going to make a difference, right? You have to know how to leverage that calculator for that particular example. The same is true for AI. Most of the good AI is application specific, and it's really hard to get it to the level that it needs to be. And one thing I like to do is like, well, what does the AI do well and what does it not? And use it for what it helps you with and kind of find the areas where it can't and supplement from there. And a lot of that's just being able to just ask questions, right? And like, do you believe what the AI is telling you? And it hallucinates, right? And it's had this issue for multiple years now, and it hasn't been figured out yet, right? Why is that? Because there's a real blocker there, right? There's a challenge that the researchers haven't been able to fully overcome without doing a lot of work to make that easier, but they haven't been able to scale it yet, right? Um, so yeah, embrace it. It can do some things well, it can do other things well, but it's not at, a human replacement. Like, oh, I can't do what brings me to it. No, I don't think so. I haven't seen that yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, we're human beings are very complex creations, right? Complex creatures.
Yep.
And the human brain is
It's
phenomenal. So
amazing. It's amazing. Like we
amazing.
forget how amazing we actually are as humans, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's been what hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, and now you have the human. And what can beat the human intellect? A robot can't do it quite yet. Like, yeah, there's automation. It could do certain things faster. You might have some
Yeah.
machines that can push things stronger, but they didn't invent themselves.
Yeah.
Right. It was invented by a human, and oftentimes, what neural networks were using the human brain to motivate or try to sell the artificial intelligence. You can tell when there's a robot calling you, right, on a telemarketer
Right.
call versus a human.
100%.
You know. So like there's something that is missing, that just can't replace that touch. And I think as a people, species, whatever the word is, right? There's something that we don't want to lose there. And
Yeah.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will.
Okay. Man,
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but this is such an interesting conversation. I do have to ask you this. So I wonder if some of the things that those who are developing AI look at as weaknesses from a human standpoint that and advantages on the AI front, that there are things in place to help us be more efficient, and we don't understand that it looks like a limitation, but it's there for a reason in terms of the percentage of our brain we actually use at one time. I think I've always heard
Mhm.
10%, but I don't know if that's still the case, but that's what I've always heard, right? I'm sure that's not by accident, that's by design, right? If we could use a greater percentage, could we get more done? Maybe, but what would be the consequence of that? That's just one example
Right.
I'm thinking of, but I'm wondering if again, we're underestimating some of the things about us that are by design that look like they might be inferior to AI, but really they're
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. I think that's a tough one, right? It's like, why can't you run forever? You run out of
Yeah,
nutrients. Why do you get tired? Why do you feel pain? Oh, I wish I didn't have pain. Well, that pain is telling you to stop because your
yeah,
arm's about to break, right? So,
yeah.
like, you need to listen. Like those guardrails are in place. But I think it just goes back to strengths and limitations, right? Everybody has their pros, everybody has their cons. Every type of AI has its advantages and its disadvantages, right?
Okay.
So think of, when folks look for an AI solution, you'll hear things like, well, I want it to be accurate. I don't want it to be biased. And I also want it to be explainable, right? And I want all these nice things from the model. Um, Well, there's some models that were made hundreds of years ago, like linear regression, logistic regression. They're not as sexy to the AI people, but many folks will say that's an AI technique. And they're able to produce explainable outcomes. They're able to produce outcomes with high accuracy. They're able to generalize results well. But there's also different types of AI which may give higher accuracy, like the things that folks are using now, the transformers and neural network based models, right? Um, that may give stronger accuracy, but they aren't interpretable, right? It's difficult to explain those outcomes, right? And
Okay.
it's by design. This one's designed to be explainable. This one's designed to be a higher performance and to take some of that explainability away. There's no free lunch, right? You take one, you lose one. If we could build the golden technique, we would have that, but that's not what we have today. We kind of put things together to address one weaknesses and kind of build the super AI, but we're still not there yet. So, you know, if you want explainable AI, you can use approaches from the past. If you want, sometimes higher performant, different AI, you lose some of that explainability. And then you have to kind of find the explainability again. Oftentimes, you use the older techniques to do that. So it's interesting. It's interesting, right?
Very
What
much.
paths that developers take, businesses take to meet the requirements that we want to say is safe, or is accurate, or is low bias. Like, what do you want as a business? What do you want as a human being?
Okay.
And we can design towards that. And there's a way to get there, but you really have to think from a human, what do you want? What is your goal? Right.
Yeah.
And that goes back to work-life balance too, right? What is your goal? Do you want a strong career, or do you want like a good balance? And you talk
Yeah.
to many CEOs, they'd be like, oh, there's no such thing as work-life balance. You have to, work, 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 work if you want to be super successful. But what's your poison? You pick it.
Yeah. We want it all. We don't like the trade-off, Sean.
Of course, of course, of course. It's tough, tough, tough things, but that makes it worth living too as well, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to achieve something or do something and not go through that struggle, get that relief, right? If it was easy, what's the meaning in it, right? So,
Yeah.
it's all in good fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy the ride.